Hi friends, and welcome to the official CCL halftime show. Name, maybe not pending by the time you watch this, but definitely still pending by the time we're filming this, presented by Roll20. I'm Gilly, and with me today is Zergling, offlane player for WildHeart Esports. Hey Zergling, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you for asking. How's Scrims and practice and everything going with WildHeart so far?
Pretty good. My team is a very laid-back team in terms of these scrims. We always have fun with our scrims. That's one of the best things about our team is that we all kind of mesh well together, and regardless of how the scrim goes, we always learn something. We're always testing new things because the way our team is. So all scrims are always good. We enjoyed the time that we were able to get scrims and get all 5 guys on there to play and practice.
Yeah, that's actually right where I wanted to go right from the beginning. You're on WildHeart, which is a team that's basically got a reputation as early as the draft show for, playing the unconventional because you're with Justing. Is that, like, unconventional drafts something you're comfortable in or something you've kind of had to be working toward?
So from my earlier days, I was kind of the drafter from my original teams in the past. So the transition to kind of unconventional drafts is a step in a different direction, but it's welcomed because it keeps things interesting and it keeps things new. We're not running the same thing over and over again until we perfect something. We're trying different things for different reasons to make sure that it works well for what we intend to do. So there's always a thought or a goal behind Justine's drafts and what we're trying to do, and that's what we try to achieve. And I think being able to be on board with that, the whole team has to buy in, and we're all buying into his strategy and what he's planning to do, and it usually works out for us.
And, you guys are all still kind of getting to know each other, getting to know play styles. What would you say that your biggest contributions so far to the team have been?
I would say I keep Justin in check. Sometimes he likes to, do things a little too wild. And I try to reel him back in, especially in my team. We like to have a lot of fun in our scrims, and we play a lot of fun different heroes. And sometimes we lose focus in our scrims or in our games. That I'm kind of like the mom of the group, where I'm like, hey guys, I'm double soaking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You guys need to do this, you need to do that. So I'm trying to bring them all back in so that so we get the job finished. Because as the games go on and we have too much fun, we kind of troll and sometimes we throw. So trying to make sure I bring the team, we have a concrete goal that we can all reach together at the same time and make sure they don't go straight too far from the path. So I kind of just keep everyone in check.
The balancing force. You're the Jedi, maybe not.
Yeah, and then of course the macro, because they always want to fight. They love fighting.
Oh, yeah.
So especially since the first 2 weeks of our season, that we just very aggressive team and always wanted to fight. And I'm just like, hey guys, experience is pretty cool too. So
who would have thought? You need to also soak in Heroes of the Storm. Well, that's good. We're in a unique spot because we're actually filming this a couple weeks before it's going to air. So I wanted to take a moment and talk through some of the matches that'll be leading up to the Chile Mountain match, which is when this will actually air. So tomorrow you're going to be playing versus Crowd Control. So I'd love to know, if you end up winning that match, why you think that'll be, and if you lose that match ultimately, what reason you think that would be.
I think we'll win the match.
Okay.
Going into it very confident in our team. Our scrims have been going well. The drafts that we prepared for the matches are very good as well. We did not show any of our actual drafts for Granite Gaming. Our meta of the drafts are going to be coming soon, which should be showcased in the Crowd Control and going into the Oxygen, and we're tired of hiding things. So hopefully we can show something exciting, and showing the meta that we bring is either going to do really well and excel, and we'll do really well in these games, or we're going to fall flat on our face and it needs a little more work, which means a little more scrims and a little more practice. So I think if we do lose, I think it would be because our strat is not fully refined, or perhaps not enough experience, because we do have some more amateur players that are not as much a competitive experience as other teams do. So I think sometimes the competitiveness in terms of the late game can sometimes be a little overwhelming for some players that aren't useful in that, are not comfortable in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I can see the late game. Maybe a couple games we may they take it off in the late game. Medallion's pretty strong, so maybe Justin goes in and Medallion happens and we lose the fight, we lose the game. So sometimes that can happen, but I feel pretty confident going into these games.
Well, I hope for you that this isn't put on the side of interviews that age well, and not the alternative.
Yeah, true, very true. Taking a gamble.
Yes. Well, same question for you then, as far as Oxygen, and I understand if it's kind of hard to explain without knowing how that crowd control match goes and if you guys have to adjust your meta. But, you know, looking at Oxygen as a team, if you guys win, why you think that would be, and if you lose, why you think that would be.
So Oxygen is what I consider one of the most clean macro teams when they're ahead.
Okay.
I think they have a very strong team overall. I think they're all individually very good players. As a whole, though, they never really played together before synergy-wise. So I think if Prismat and Nasmus are not going to show up those days, I don't think they can beat us. I think they are the core component of their team, and if they're not at their 100%, I don't think they can beat us. But if we show up as our team and we feel strong and confident going into the games, I think that they will have the best chance against us in terms of draft. But in terms of gameplay, I think that our skill level on our team is much higher than Oxygen's.
Makes a lot of sense. Both those players in HGC days were hugely important for their rosters, so makes a ton of sense there. And now looking toward the Chile Mountain match, when people will be seeing this interview, you know, we've seen Chile Mountain kind of have some struggles in the first couple of weeks. Who do you look to as the players that you expect to start stepping it up and really bringing it to help turn things around for this team?
So I heard they got a new coach recently, so I hope that fixes some of their issues with drafting, because I thought their drafts were the weakest out of all the teams. I hope that's something that they fix. I know Make is their macro shot caller, and maybe he has to be the person that steps up and kind of takes control of the team. They seem a little lost. I don't know if that's because of just draft difference, that every game they were just losing draft, or it was perhaps a team synergy thing. I think Chile Mountain will get better as the season goes on. I think they have good synergy between their players, and I think they will get better as time goes on with a new coach and people stepping up into their roles. I think they'll just have a rough start. So going into Chile Mountain, I'll have to see what they are that week. But overall, depending on how Oxygen and crowd control goes and how our meta kind of develops and what other people want to do, if they want to, you know, try to play in our meta or do their own thing, or maybe we'll just do their own thing, we'll see how that matchup goes. But I feel pretty confident after these next 2 weeks. I think these are the two strongest teams coming up, and I think after that our season is a little easier. So,
well, best of luck to you in all of those matches. Now, before we, you know, close out the interview, there's a few questions I want to ask you just about sort of your history in Heroes, because it's been a rough one. For those of you who may not know, Zergling was on Scythe Esports, one of the teams to make it through the Crucible to HGC right before it was canceled. So, you know, what was that time like for you when that happened?
It was hard, but everything that I do with a purpose, and I always have a backup plan. So when I was doing, not only, because that was my second time I was in the Crucible, so I was on a team before that. I was in competitive Heroes for not that long. So when HGC died, that felt really bad, because there was 2 times that I was almost in HGC. Not only from Crucible, but also like tryouts and things like that. And they didn't end up working out, which is unfortunate. And then when HGC died, that was very detrimental. But I always had a backup plan. I was still in school. I was doing school full time the same time while I was doing Heroes. So it was a busy life at the time. But after it ended, I kind of realized, you know, maybe this is for the best and I can focus more on my schooling. So then I pursued on to higher education with my master's in chemistry program and things like that. So I had a backup plan, so I wasn't as detrimental as to other players, but it was still a sad time for how much work you put in and no payoff. So
yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you know, a lot of people, like myself included, just stopped playing, at least for a really, really long time, because it was so hard. What kept you going? Did you stop for a bit as well and then jump back in, or did that backup plan help it not sting as much to keep playing?
I was distracted with school, so I have other responsibilities and things like that that kept me away from, you know, the sad news. There was a couple months afterwards that I still played in some community events and tournaments, 'cause I still enjoy at the heart competitive Heroes of the Storm. It's one of my most favorite games to play. I enjoy it a lot, and it's something that I would like to do more of, and that's why I'm here in the CCL. So when I did that for a couple months, and then I took a break, I explored some other games, hung out with friends, focused on school, did a little bit of other MOBAs. They're not as fun as Heroes of the Storm. So then, you know, that's kind of how I ended up taking about a year and a half off, and then back to the game, very rusty, but came back for CCL because there were a lot of new faces and a lot of familiar faces in the league that I was very excited to play and kind of get that experience and that feeling of competitive Heroes of the Storm again.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about CCL, right? Is that we do have a mix of players and faces that we know, and the new as well. And so I think my last question before I give you time for shoutouts would just be, now that you are here in the CCL, what does it mean to you to be playing in it?
I would say that the CCL is a future for Heroes of the Storm in the right direction for competitive. In terms of would it ever be a full-time gig again? Unsure. We'll have to see what the future holds, and the following seasons, if there are, for the CCL. One of the biggest things for CCL is how much fun I have playing with my team, how competitive it is, and playing competitive Heroes of the Storm again, and just doing those mock drafts with Justine, and practicing and learning the meta and developing our own meta. I think that's very exciting, because I think draft is one of the most exciting and fun things that you can do in Heroes of the Storm. And some people may disagree and they don't really care about draft. They just want to kill people and have fun playing the game and kill heroes and things like that. But definitely drafting and just playing in CCL is very enjoyable, very fun.
I agree with you. Drafting was always one of my favorite parts of casting Heroes too. It's a blast. All right, well, thank you so much. Do you have any shout outs before we close it out?
I'd like to give a shout out to our organization, which is WildHeart. I got some merch on today, which is at wildheartgg.com, and they also have some commands in the Twitch chat to learn about more about WildHeart. I also like to give a shout out to my team. Like playing with these group of guys. Hopefully we can keep going and playing strong together, and we can get better and hopefully show up for playoffs and show what we are made of. And then the last shout out is I would like to give a shout out to my girlfriend. She's been supporting me for many years, playing different games and supporting me in my career, so I really appreciate that as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Zergling. Thank you, everyone, to watching you at home. This has been the official CCL halftime show presented by Roll20. Thank you, and thank you, Zergling.
Thank you.